You feel the chaos, inbox overflow, tickets vanish, customers rage. It was never about the password, it's the access path, email to case without control. Here's the fix. Autonomous agents inside Dynamics 365 that read, classify, create, route, respond. No hype, real mechanics. We'll expose the fractures you ignore. Then show the system that doesn't blink. You'll see email parsing, AI classification, unified routing, Copilot drafts, and clean handoff to humans. We'll talk governance, audit logs, PII, escalation, stay. There's one mistake that keeps your SLA clocks bleeding. I'll show it and how to stop it. The problem today: fractured flow, rising cost. Look at your inbox. It's not an inbox, it's an attack surface. Queues choke, context scatters across threads, forwards, screenshots. SLA timers start late, then expire quietly. No one notices until the callback is angry. You don't miss emails, you miss intent. That's worse. Slow ticket creation kills trust. Humans parse paragraphs, copy-paste wobbly details, guess at the right customer, the right product, the right entitlement. Required fields? Sometimes. Consistency? Rare. Ownership? Delayed. Meanwhile, the clock doesn't care. It keeps moving. Repetitive classification grinds people down. Subjects lie, bodies contradict, attachments tell a different story. Agents skim, assume, label wrong. Errors stack. Categories don't match reality, so routing fails. Downstream metrics get poisoned. Leaders think volumes shifted. They didn't. Labels did. Escalation is a maze with dead ends. You've got loopbacks, you've got tribal knowledge stuck in the heads of two seniors who hate vacation. Tickets stall because watchers weren't added, or the team's channel wasn't pinged, or the policy note lives in a SharePoint folder no one opens. You call it process. It's luck. High cost per ticket isn't a line item. It's the compounding waste of 30 seconds repeated 1,000 times. Copy, paste, search, toggle, ask, wait, reopen, apologize, do it again. Labor burn hides inside tiny motions. Multiply by headcount. Then by churn, you pay for the same answer 2-3 times. User frustration goes silent before it goes loud. New agents drown because nothing is standardized. Seniors burn out because everything is escalated. Customers churn because the first touch is slow and the second touch is confused. Leaders fly blind because dashboards reflect noise, not truth. Now the part you don't want to admit. Email to case felt easy, one address, dump it into a queue, let humans sort it. You created the fracture. The access path is ungoverned, no identity binding on intake, no canonical format, no intent taxonomy. Every message becomes a custom puzzle. At scale, puzzles become fire. But here's where it gets interesting. The same path that breaks you can be standardized. Intake can be read, understood, normalized. Intent extracted, entities captured, confidence measured. That means tickets created the same way, every time. Feels right. SLA clocks start on time. Ownership is instant, not eventual. Everything changes when classification stops being a guess. You remove the roulette wheel. You route by skill, capacity, and entitlement, not by who arrived first or who shouted loudest. Escalation becomes a policy gate, not a sticky note. Watchers attached, notes summarized, attachments indexed, teams pinged with context, not chaos. You're thinking cost. Good. Your cost per ticket is labor plus rework plus reopenings. Cut the manual parsing. Kill misroutes. Prevent reopenings. The math shifts. Even small percentages compound at volume. That's the only honest way capacity scales without headcount. You can't scale chaos. You standardize the access path, or it breaks. Autonomous agents do this work without blinking, but only if you give them structure, identity, taxonomy, entitlements, and routes. Otherwise, you just automate the mess faster. You already know the truth. The backlog isn't a volume problem. It's a design problem. Fix intake. Then everything downstream starts to look sane. What autonomous agents actually do. No hype, just mechanics. Here's what actually happens. They read the email, not just the words, the structure, the headers, the thread, the attachments. They parse intent, they pull entities, order ID, serial number, tenant, asset, entitlement. They score sentiment, urgency. They bind identity when they can. Domain match, contact record, previous cases. If identity is fuzzy, they mark it. Confidence threshold. No guesswork masked as speed. They extract with discipline. Entities land in fields, not in nodes. Product maps to the product table. Subscription maps to entitlement. Region maps to the right business unit. Dates normalized, time zones handled, attachments are inspected, PDFs are OCR'd, tables parsed. They don't skim, they don't fatigue, they don't forget the second paragraph. Then they decide, case or deflect. If it's known and trivial, they start self-service. A guided flow, a verified article, a link with the exact steps, not a homepage. If policy allows, they send an acknowledgement instantly. Case number, SLA clock visible, next steps clear, no black box language. No, we'll get back to you. Precision replaces hope. They auto-create the ticket. Every required field. Every time. Queue set by skills and capacity. Priority set by entitlement and impact. SLA tied to the contract, not a default. Channel recorded. Source preserved. Duplicate detection runs. If it's a thread on an open case, they attach it. No split histories, no ghost cases. They categorize with more than keywords. They use topic models. Signal stacking, subject, body, attachment, past resolutions. They assign the correct category because they learn the patterns, not the obvious ones, the quiet ones. When a part number implies a warranty path. When a phrase implies billing, not technical. When can't login means SSO drift, not password reset. They don't take the subject line at face value. Neither should you. They route, unified routing, skills, capacity, calendar, history. They prefer agents who fix the issue fastest with the fewest reopenings, not the ones who click resolve first. They watch SLA targets. They send to the team that can meet the clock. If queues back up, they surface the constraint. It's math, not politics. They draft the response. Copilot composes, using case context, knowledge articles, and policy. Tone aligned, language matched, links verified, no lorem ipsum mistakes. Agents review. One click to send. 30 seconds saved becomes hours over a day. AHT goes down because words appear ready, not because corners were cut. They escalate when signals trip. Confidence below threshold. Sentiment spikes negative. VIP flag present. Safety terms detected. They push to human. With a summary, bulleted, timeline compressed, attachments labeled, policy cues highlighted. They ping the expert in Teams with context embedded. No fishing through threads. No, what's the history? Slack replaces scramble. They follow up. If the customer goes silent, they nudge at the SLA-defined interval. If the customer replies, they reopen with context. No duplicate. No lost ownership. If resolution criteria are met, they resolve with clear notes. Evidence attached, audit trail intact, every action stamped. You want compliance? This is the spine. They learn. Topic clustering shows spikes. New errors, seasonal drifts. They nudge knowledge managers. This article is stale. They suggest edits. They propose a new article when patterns repeat without a match. They don't override judgment. They surface candidates. Humans approve. The loop closes. Faster each week. They protect. PII redaction on drafts and summaries. Masked before storage if policy requires. Data retention respected. DLP rules enforced. Role-based access gates every view. You don't want shadow copies leaking in email threads. Neither do they. Evidence lives in the case, not in someone's downloads folder. They don't replace agents. They clear the noise. They standardize intake. They make routing honest. They front-load context so humans can do nuance, empathy, negotiation, exceptions, the work only humans should touch. You already feel the difference. Intake stops being roulette. SLA clocks stop bleeding. Dashboards start telling the truth. And the backlog? It stops being a moral failing. It becomes a queue the system can actually hold. Why Dynamics 365 is the perfect home. Context, control, continuity. Place matters. Identity lives here. Context too. You need both in one system. Integrated customer records are the spine. Account, contact, asset, entitlement, contract, all in Dataverse, one truth, no shadow spreadsheets. When the agent opens the case, they don't guess who this is. They see history, orders, renewals, past failures, promises made, promises kept. The agent doesn't chase context across tabs. It's already bound to identity. That kills rework. That narrows the blast radius when something slips. CRM context meets AI context. Case timeline, emails, transcripts, attachments, Copilot memory stitches the signal. It knows what was said, what was promised, Which steps failed? It drafts with that memory, not generic templates. The summary isn't theater. It's a compressed, searchable artifact that any supervisor can audit in 10 seconds. That's how you stop he said, she said disputes. The tape exists in the record, not in someone's head. Unified inbox plus omnichannel lowers friction. Email, chat, voice, social. One agent, desktop, one QMath. Routing treats channels as inputs, not separate fiefdoms. A chat that turns into email? Same case. A call that follows a form? Same case. You don't duplicate history because someone switched mediums. Customers don't care about your channel silos. Neither should your system. Built-in routing is honest. Skills, capacity, historical performance, SLA targets. It doesn't route to the loudest team, it routes to the right team. And it learns. If someone consistently resolves without reopenings, they're weighted. If a queue saturates, capacity thresholds trip. Supervisors see the constraint before the SLA burns. That changes staffing conversations from anecdotes to math. Native handover to agents isn't a handbrake. It's seamless. Summaries surfaced. Next best actions proposed. Knowledge links preloaded. If expertise is external, the system opens the door. Teams escalation with context injected. The expert doesn't join blind. They read the compressed timeline and decide fast. Escalation becomes a controlled bridge, not a panic sprint. Governance is not an afterthought. It's the spine. Audit logs on every state change. Who touched what, when, why. Data retention aligned to policy. PII controls enforced. Redaction on summaries if required. DLP policies block exfiltration attempts. Role-based access limits curiosity. You don't want helpful downloads living in personal folders. Evidence stays inside the case boundary. That's how you sleep. Security model matters because identity is power. Dynamics sits inside Azure AD. Conditional access applies. MFA enforced. Least privilege for agents, supervisors, admins. If someone leaves, access evaporates at the directory. Tokens die. No rogue logins from forgotten portals. You remove the shadow login vector at the root. Continuity is daily resilience. Agents swap shifts. Cases don't lose memory. You get handover summaries, not novels. Bullet truth. Steps tried, steps pending, risks flagged. The next human doesn't start from zero. That's how average handling time moves without managers preaching work faster. The system carries the load between people. Knowledge management is attached to reality. The knowledge management agent proposes updates from live patterns. Articles aren't sacred. They evolve. Stale content gets flagged. New issues trigger drafts. Review happens in flow, not in quarterly committees. Agents get tested, verified answers in the thread, not a wiki rabbit hole. Analytics aren't vanity. Topic clustering shows what's breaking right now. Spikes tied to product, region, version. You don't wait for angry volume to prove a trend. You see the slope early. You push fixes upstream. Customer service stops being a bucket brigade. It becomes a sensor network. Omnichannel transcription and sentiment feed the loop. Voice becomes text. Text becomes signal. Escalation policies fire on tone as well as content. VIP flags stack with negative sentiment to force human review. You don't learn about the meltdown from Twitter. You intercept it in-stream. Licensing and capacity live where the work lives. Copilot rights bound to users who need them. AI execution against data they're allowed to see. Telemetry shows utilization. You don't buy blunt licenses in fear. You size with evidence. Expand on measured lift, not vibes. This is why place matters. Context, control, continuity. One home, one identity, one audit trail. The agents do the repetitive truth. Humans handle the edge. The handoff is clean. The record is clean. The math is clean. You already know the other option. Silos. Copy-paste. Lost time. Lost trust. Don't do that. Put the agents where identity already lives. Let the system carry the weight. Let humans speak to humans. 3 key value areas where the friction falls. Start with the friction you feel first. Self-service empowerment, not a chatbot circus. Verified steps, bound to identity. When the agent reads a known problem, it doesn't stall. It initiates a guided flow, targeted article, exact actions. If the device is registered, steps reference that asset. If the entitlement covers replacement, the path includes it. That means customers get real outcomes without touching a queue. The proof? Deflection with evidence. Case created only when signals say human. You remove the low-value pings that drown your seniors. And you stop teaching customers that email is the only door. Automated ticket creation. Nothing drops. No field guessing. No half-formed cases that rot in triage. Every intake has the right customer, asset, entitlement, category, priority, SLA. The SLA clock starts when intake is understood, not when someone finally opens the email. Duplicates link, threads attach, history stays whole. That kills the silent breaches, those hours where no one knows they're bleeding. And it makes dashboards honest. You can plan staffing on real arrival times, not when busy people finally clicked new case. Human escalation. AI clears the noise. Humans do nuance. That's the point. When thresholds trip, low confidence, negative sentiment, a VIP tag, the system hands the case to a human with clarity. Summary tight. Attachments labeled. Next best action suggested. Policy references linked. And the team's ping includes context. No phishing, no warm-up. The human starts at the decision, not at the archaeology. Empathy and negotiation live here. Exceptions live here. Discounts, replacements, policy bends. The work machines should never own. Quantifiable impact. AHT drops because drafting, searching, and data entry vanish. The range you've seen is 25 to 40% down. First contact resolution rises because the right agent gets the right case with the right context. Numbers land in the 15 to 30% lift. Reopenings fall when summaries and knowledge are standard. 30% down isn't fantasy, it's a function of fewer misses. That compounding matters. Rework evaporates. Overtime shrinks. Cost per ticket moves for real, not by squeezing people. Manager outcomes. Fewer handoffs. Cleaner audits. Predictable staffing. Unified routing exposes bottlenecks. Capacity models get simple. You can forecast. You can defend headcount. And when the auditor asks, why did you resolve this in 4 hours, the evidence is in the case. SLA applied. Steps taken. Customer responses logged. Redactions in place. You don't argue memory. You show the record. Now the pattern you'll feel after week 2. The queue goes quiet, not empty. Quiet. Spikes still arrive, but they don't feel like threat because they route clean. Because self-service absorbs the trivial. Because agents see summaries, not walls of text. That's the moment you stop firefighting and start improving. Topic clusters surface the next fix to automate. Knowledge agents propose the next article to patch. Each loop you close makes the next week lighter. Everything changes when you stop treating AI as a mascot and treat it as intake controls. Self-service where it's safe, automation where it's repetitive, humans where judgment lives. Friction falls in 3 places. Before the queue, at the queue, and at the handoff. That's the entire game. But talk is cheap. Watch it hold under load. Real-world example. One day, hundreds of emails. Retail ops, anonymized. Hundreds of emails daily. Orders, returns, damaged shipments, billing disputes. Baseline was ugly. Average handling time. High, bloated by manual drafting and tab switching. First contact resolution weak because routing misfired. Cost per ticket rising with overtime. Agents exhausted, leaders skeptical. Day 1 with agents on. Email intake lands in a governed queue. The system reads each message. Extracts product, order ID, customer identity, sentiment, urgency. If the sender is unknown, it attempts a match by domain and thread. Confidence scores applied. No blind assumptions. Attachments get scanned. Photos of damaged goods are labeled. PDFs OCR'd for order numbers. Categorization stops being roulette. Topic models weigh subject, body, attachment, and prior resolutions. My package didn't arrive no longer routes to technical. It goes to logistics with delivery exception recognized from the tracking screenshot. Can't log in triage distinguishes SSO drift from true credential resets. Warranty phrases trigger entitlement checks. Priority sets by contract, not emotion. Tickets auto-create with all required fields. Queue assigned by skills and capacity. SLA bound to entitlement. Duplicates detected. Threads attached to existing cases. No split histories. No ghost cases. The clock starts when the system understands, not when a person notices. Copilot drafts acknowledgements and next steps. Tone aligned to brand. Links verified to the exact article section, not a generic help home. Agents review and send in seconds. Replies feel human because context is real. That saves minutes per case multiplied by hundreds. AHT bends down without pep talks. Complex cases escalate cleanly. Safety terms, VIP flags, low confidence, or negative sentiment trigger handover. Summary is concise. Timeline compressed. Attachments labeled. Policy cues highlighted. Teams ping fires to the right expert channel with case context embedded. The senior doesn't ask what's the story. They read the story and act. Follow-ups run on policy. If customers go silent, nudges land at contract-defined intervals. If they respond, the case reopens with context restored. No duplicates, no ownership drift. When resolution criteria are met, the case closes with clean notes. Evidence attached, audit trail intact. Supervisors can scan 10 cases in 5 minutes and actually see reality. After 4 weeks, numbers move. Average handling time down in the 30% range because drafting and data entry disappeared. First contact resolution up around 20% because routing got honest. Reopenings down near 30% because summaries and knowledge consistency cut misses. Cost per ticket followed. Overtime eased. New agents ramped faster because they read good summaries instead of raw chaos. There's a softer shift. The morning backlog stopped being a threat. It became a plan. Spikes from a vendor defect showed up as a topic cluster. Managers pushed a targeted message to the self-service flow with the known fix. The volume bent before customers called twice. That's what proactive looks like when the system listens. Compliance didn't flinch. PII redaction ran on summaries. Data stayed in the record. Audit logs tracked every change. Retention applied. DLP blocked exfiltration. Role-based access contained curiosity. When legal asked for the full trail on a dispute, it took minutes, not days. Did agents get replaced? No, they got space. They handled edge cases, negotiations, exceptions, campaigning for customers with real context at their fingertips. Attrition cooled, satisfaction ticked up. The queue felt fair. The work felt like work, not noise. That's one day. Hundreds of emails. Held, not by heroics, by standardization. Intake became honest. Routing became math. Handoffs became clean. You don't need a miracle. You need a spine. Pitfalls to avoid. The quiet ways it breaks. Poor data quality kills automation quietly. Dirty categories. Stale product lists. Missing entitlements. The agent can't map to truth if your truth is rotten. Fix the dictionary before you fix the flow. No escalation routes means silent failures. Cases stall, SLA burns, angry callbacks appear days later. Map policy gates. Define who owns which exception. Wire the team's channels with context injection. Test the pings. Incorrect categories poison everything downstream. Wrong SLA, wrong KPI, wrong forecast. Train on verified labels. Lock the taxonomy. Freeze changes behind governance, not ad hoc edits. Over-automation is a trust leak. You rush, you ship brittle rules. Agents build shadow workarounds. Now you have two systems, the official one and the one they actually use. Start narrow, expand on evidence. Lack of human supervision kills learning. No feedback loop, no retraining signals, no audit trail. You think the model gets smarter. It doesn't. It just repeats your initial bias. Set review cadences. Capture corrections. Close the loop. PII risk hides in drafts, screenshots, and exports. Redact before storage. Block downloads of evidence to personal devices. DLP on. Retention enforced. Role-based access tight. Your one careless export from a breach. One more fracture. Identity ambiguity. Unbound senders. Shared mailboxes. Vendors forwarding chains. If intake can't bind to an account or contact, force a human gate with a summary. Don't guess the customer. This is the pattern. Small leaks. Compounding damage. Fix them first, or the agent just accelerates your mistakes. What you need to implement. Controls before speed. Clear intents. Write the taxonomy. Define entities. Set confidence thresholds for automation versus human review. Publish examples. Version it. Guard it. Clean email queues. Dedicated addresses per intent family. Normalize subjects. Enforce DKIM and SPF. Kill alias sprawl. One door per flow. CRM schema alignment. required fields for customer asset entitlement priority SLA policy. Validation rules stop half cases, deduplicate logic defined. Automation rules. Unified routing by skills, capacity, historical performance, SLA targets. Acknowledgements with case numbers. Deflection flows with verified articles. Timers and exception paths wired. AI capacity. Copilot licensing assigned to reviewers and frontline. Data access scoped by role. Telemetry enabled. Retraining cadence monthly. Topic clustering reviewed weekly. Human override controls. Supervisor takeover. One-click escalate. Embedded summary. Teams escalation with context injected. Full audit logs. Evidence trails retained. PII redaction default on. Governance focus. Human in the loop for low confidence, negative sentiment. VIP. Escalation paths documented, quality evaluations sampled at scale, decisions traceable. Pre 60, 90 plan. First 30. Stabilize intake, clean taxonomy, bind identity, wire acknowledgements, measure AHT baseline. Next 30. Calibrate routing, enable Copilot drafts, publish 2 deflection flows, start weekly feedback sessions. Final 30. Expand self-service, tighten thresholds, retrain models, harden DLP and retention, report AHT FCR reopenings versus baseline. Controls first, then speed. That's how you scale without inviting the fracture. The truth is simple. AI isn't replacing your agents. It's deleting the backlog and binding identity so humans can make the real calls. If you want the full deployment checklist and the metrics pack, subscribe now. Then watch the next episode where I break down the 30, 60, 90 rollout with live benchmarks, exact thresholds, and governance templates you can copy. Click through. Don't wait for the next spike to expose the fracture.